Another model that we use in TDG is one we call workers' flow. I'll give acknowledgement here to Dr. David Proven, with a good friend of mine who we had some conversations that underlie this in understanding how work is done in an organisation. One of the core pieces of work we're often asked to come and do with clients is to help them understand what it is their people do and what it is they can help their people do to be better in the roles that they perform. Underlying all of this, we find, is people don't often understand what it is the workforce is doing, the individuals are doing inside their roles. PDs, process descriptions, job descriptions, are often out of date. They're often not necessarily reflective of what's happening. Documentation may or may not even be in place. Training programs, again, may not be in place or may be outdated. So part of this is, how do we help them understand their world, and how do we interpret their world in a meaningful way? That's where this model comes in. And if we think about this workers' flow model having three key things that we look for. The key things we look for are work as done. So this is very much what's actually happening out there, in the building, in the field, wherever it might be. What are people doing inside their roles? How are we capturing this? We'll use tools like job task analysis or task analysis to capture what it is people are actually doing inside their jobs, the tasks they are performing each day, each week, each month. It's really important for the organisation and for our work to understand what it is people are doing. The second one is around work as imagined. We talk to leadership, we talk to supervisors, we talk to those people who might be managing the work scope or scheduling, planning the work scope, to understand what they think is meant to happen, what they expect to be occurring out there. This work as imagined is another really important facet of understanding what's actually happening in the organisation. So far we can talk about work as done and work as imagined, and we see what's actually happening. And we also now start to understand what people's expectations are. What is being imagined when this work is being set, when this work is being planned? What are people thinking is going to happen outside in the field or in the office? The third element is work as designed. Most organisations, to some degree, have paperwork or documentation or processes or procedures or programs. Inside of those, it sets an expectation of what should be. We'll look through that desktop process, we'll have a look through all of that documentation, understand the design intent inside of the roles, inside of the work that's being done. For us, really important to be able to have a look at what was written, what is documented, how it's being done. And inside that work being done, and inside that work being imagined, and inside that work being designed, we start to get a picture of what's actually happening inside the roles, inside the teams, and inside the organisation. For us, it's about grabbing those three collective sources of data and understanding what is the best approach to get the teams, the individuals, the organisation to work as flow. And flow to us is one of those words that you often hear more in a psychological sense, but flow is where things are just working, things are understood. Those three elements are congruent. Perfection's a wonderful ideal, but congruency works, where what is designed, what is imagined, and what is happening are all congruent. It's the same. Work starts to now become flow, where the leadership are knowing what's getting, or imagining what should be done is what's being done, where the documentation reflects what's being done in the field. One of the other pieces that we often look at as well, which is a slight side, when we're talking about work as done, we also often talk to the workforce about what's desired. There's a lot of wisdom to be had in understanding how things might be able to be done better. Again, lots of science out there that talks about measuring this or managing this. This idea that what has been planned and taught or scheduled starts to drift. And in that drift, sometimes there are things that we want to manage back toward what should be happening. And sometimes in that drift, there's a bunch of gifts that people are finding more efficient or effective ways to get things done. That drift allows us to learn and allows us to reset. So when we're capturing the core three around done, imagined, and designed, We also like to understand what might be desired. Where are the opportunities that could actually be happening right now or aren't being done but could be done with opportunity space? And we consider this whole model and we help the organisation to see this model, they can start to make choices around how they want to work going forward. We can provide advice into it based on data, not just opinion, around how this business is most effective.